Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 19 in our All of Fabric modded Minecraft series. I am very close to having my automated lava set up using the drilling rig, but I thought since this is probably the last time I'm ever going to have to do this, I'll show you what I've been doing to grab lava for the meantime. So, down here in our mine, this is our down at diamond level in our mine. There's big lava pools, and I just set up a little area with my tanks. I made 5 of these portable tanks Mark IVs that hold 128 buckets apiece. I just set them up in a row, and I grab lava, and I keep filling them up. To make it kind of easier, I just put piping that connects them up, and I turn the piping down until one's full. So now we're about to fill up our third one. Or we're working on filling up our third one, I should say. And, you know, I just keep going until I have all my tanks here full. And then that lasts me a good long while with my power setup. But my power for my applied Energistics system is starting to become more and more of a demand, because I am increasing it more and more. And so once I'm done collecting lava here, I'm going to head back up there and I will show you some of the changes I have made between the last episode and this one. Okay, we are back in our main storage building, and there's a couple little upgrades I've done that I just wanted to show you. One is that there is a mod called the Staff of Traveling, and some of you may be familiar with it. It comes from originally from the mod Ender.io on Forge. This Staff of Traveling mod only adds the Staff of Traveling, and it also adds the travel anchor and then some enchanted books to enchant the Staff of Traveling. But so basically, travel anchors are just made with iron and ender pearls, and the staff itself is made with iron and ender pearls as well. So what it does is when I put down an anchor, I can name it, and I can look at that anchor and then right click with the Staff of Traveling and travel to it. Back and forth, very easy. And then if I want to just travel, I just shift right click with the staff, and it has a bit of a cooldown, but it doesn't have any charge, and I can even travel through blocks, as you can see. So if I just want to drop down to the floor below, I just shift right click and I'm into this room. I do have a ladder I can get up and down just in case I don't have my staff, but I've pretty much just been carrying it now. So here is our setup. I have added a few more magmators, 2 more to be exact. They're all at the blazing level, so they all produce 40 FE per tick, so 160 total. Right now our energy cell, that's how much it can transfer, so we're maxing it out. And we added an energy cell for the applied Energistics setup so that it can store some power. So our setup is very kind of getting very spaghetti, but we have cables everywhere. And then I have moved the main crafting terminals all down here. This is basically my auto crafting room now. I'm slowly building it up. I've added another crafting CPU that this one has a 64K processor, and then 5 co-processors, so I can do bigger tasks much quicker. Okay, let's see, what else did we add? We very quickly filled up the molecular assemblers that we had, and so I have made this. It was actually not a really efficient way to do it, and so I'm going to be changing this up in just a little bit, but for right now, each one of these assemblers can hold 9 recipes, and I have 4 times 8, so 32 of them, so I can hold 288 recipes, I guess that is. Hard to do in math while I'm on camera, but These are set up specifically because you can only do 32 channels per each one, and that's how many each one of these setups. Like the bottom layer takes 32 channels, upper layer takes 32 channels. Like I said, there's more efficient ways to set these up, and I'm going to do that in a little while, but for now I just needed to be able to do a lot of recipes because I have been adding quite a bit. If you look, we have all of these different recipes I've been adding. I did a lot of the parts towards getting the oil drilling rig set up. That also required us to make a few more machines, including the steel wire mill, and we needed to set up patterns for the storage components to make the crafting computers. You know, a lot of different steps that we just keep crafting. So instead of crafting anything by hand, pretty much when I need something, I go in, and if I don't have all the parts for it, I add in more recipes. So I've been working on the oil drilling rig, so I just go and try to craft one, and the next thing in the list that I don't have, that's what I add, and it continues to add more and more things, but we're getting closer and closer to being able to craft it. I also did a similar thing to what I did with the assemblers over here for our machines. Each row can only hold 8 channels, and so I have space down here for 4 machines, plus the interfaces above them. Up above, I just needed a lot of space for compressing recipes because I've been doing a lot of stuff that uses compressors. So what I did is I did 7 compressors, all connected with steam, and then I have one interface, and then there's item ducts or item pipes that pull the items out and put them into the interface to send them back. And so this way I have 7 channels for the pattern providers on the back of these, and then I have 1 channel for the interface, and so I can fit 7 compressors on 1 smart cable going into our system. So you can see that's using 8 out of 32 channels. And if we look at the smart cable itself, it's 8 of 8. This is also where I have other new machines I've been adding in, like the steel wire mill, and I've upgraded some of our machines we use more often to steel so that they can process a little bit faster. And steel machines also hold a little bit more steam in their system. In order to upgrade them, we just use steel upgrades, and this is another thing where I just continued to add all the parts that I needed to make the steel upgrade until I was able to make it. So now I can make them on command. If I need a steel upgrade, I just hit start. It shows me all the things I need. Right now I have everything. In fact, I'll make a couple of those real quick. And then the crafting just keeps working on its own, crafting up all the parts that we need. Last thing I did is, for many of the items that we have, it's not a matter of adding in crafting recipes, it's just a matter of adding in processing that is automatically done. So I expanded this area a little bit and added some more outputs. Specifically, I added in tin, so the tin is getting processed through our system over here, and where any tin ore we have is automatically turned into tin ingots. I need to clean this area up. In fact, I just need to, now that I'm starting to get more and more applied Energistics systems, I just need to clean it all up and make it all a little bit nicer. But we can see if even here, at any terminal, I can access the crafting status, and I can initiate crafting. I just need the pattern encoding and the pattern, I forget what the other one's called, but the 2 pattern terminals in order to access our pattern system. So that's why I have that down in the main crafting area. And then any of these terminals, I can just say, hey, I need some cabling. So basically, at this point, it's a matter of adding recipes to the system and adding systems to provide us with the raw resources we need. One of the things that I need to work on soon is that all the cabling we use, the smart cables, the dense cables, are made from covered ME cables, which use wool. So I need to add in a way for us to get wool. This one's extra now. I moved everything around. I need to add an automated way to get wool. Right now, basically, I've just been going out and I have a sheet pen and I shear all the sheet, which gives me about 100 pieces of wool, and that holds me over for a little while longer. But I need to come up with an automated way to do it, and there's lots of different ways we can do it. But like I said, it's just a matter of adding in recipes, and then when I need a raw item, I set up a way to do it. But the next thing we need to do is get our power sorted to have an infinite source, because we are expanding our power grid more and more, because we are using 20.5 E per tick for our applied Energistics system just to be on. And then when we are running, you can see right now we're using 112. So when our crafting processor is running, we're using the rest of the power we have. So the maximum amount of power that our system can hold is 132. So if we get to the point where we're using more than what we can hold in our batteries, then we start having problems where the system will shut down, and then it has to wait for the batteries to fill back up before I can continue on with processing. So we need to expand that. We need to expand our power generation, and we need to expand our power storage in the power mod, and also set up the oil drilling rig so that we can have infinite lava coming in so that we don't run out of power ever. While I've been working on expanding our systems, I've been also following our quest book and checking off things as we go, getting a few of the rewards. I just got to this one, and I did the item transportation quest line, and I did item pipes. And I was just reading the thing, and the big part here is that you can right-click the connection without a wrench to see a filter. So when I was using the Industrial Revolution item pipes. So with these, they're nice, but you have to put a servo on to get the filter, and they can be a little annoying to use. So I am retiring all of those, at least in this build. And the other big reason, and I will show you here in a second, is, so this is a fluid and this is the item pipe. So let's say I have a fluid pipe run from these modern industrialization pipes, and then I also need to run an item pipe. I can run them in the same block as the fluid pipe. So the pipes can run parallel to each other, connect to the same machine on the same side, and that is pretty spectacular. Makes me wonder what other pipes from modern industrialization we have. So we have fluid pipes and the item pipes. I guess that's it. There's no power pipes from that, and that's fine. But so now the other thing is that this area I had here with all my processing machines was getting very convoluted and a little nuts. So I am ripping it all out, grabbing all these pipes out. I disconnected all the machines, and what I did is I put over here in barrels, this is my compressors and all the recipes right now that I have through the compressors. And then this is this macerator and the recipes I need to put in there, the furnace with its recipes, the wire mill with its recipes, and then this one is the cutting machine, which I have two of because I had too many recipes for one. And so I can now do a layout that is a little more well thought out, and a little more efficient, and also just looks cooler. So I'm getting to the point where now that I'm getting a bigger idea of like what I need to fit in this area, I can start designing it to actually look a little better. And the first step is I'm going to design a processing room over here where I can get around and actually set up all my machines. And the idea is that I'm going to make it so that it is a section of a room where it uses 32 channels, and then have it be modular. So if I need to expand more, then I just run another dense cable through the back and extend the room down farther, and then that's where I can expand it. And it can keep going all the way down here, all the way to that far wall. That's the idea. So I'm going to do some tweaking and some designing and figure out exactly all the things I need to do. But the goal is to make it so that, like I said, it's modular and I can expand onto it and add more machines as I need, and also that it's compact and as good looking as I can make it. So the first step in making a processing room is making a way to get to the processing room. So I moved my terminals and I ran the cable for them. I'll come around the back so we can actually see the cable. It goes under the floor. I used some facades to cover it up. I left one of them off so I could show you. And then this just goes on here. And the cabling here is also covered up with facades. And so I have a little hallway to get through here. So this is going to be where I get down to the main room. And then from here, for the processing, I'll go this way. And then we'll have a processing room that starts going down this way. That's the plan. So now I just need to figure out a layout for this room. And like I said, I want to make it kind of like a hallway where I have processing machines on either side. That way I can make it modular and it'll just keep going down as I need to add to it more and more and more. Oh, and I also changed the layout for our crafting storage computers. I put them up above where the terminals are. That way you can see the monitors as you're crafting. And my plan is to continue to extend them out around this way and then start putting them down this way on a wall. That way I can have, as I add more crafting CPUs, we can continue to see them. So probably what I will do is, let me see here. I can probably make this room turn like right here. And then the next monitor would go right next to here. So this would be, this spot right here would be the next monitor, and then we'll just do a row of them down that wall, and we'll fit all of our crafting CPUs behind the wall in this space back here. And then I have this empty space back here that I don't know what I'll do with, but I think that that'll be neat. We'll be able to, from our crafting room, we'll just be able to look up and see all the things that are crafting, because eventually I will probably have about a dozen of these crafting CPUs. Also, you can see they can be rectangular shaped in any way you want. So instead of having it as a cube that was 2 by 2 by 2, now it's a 2 by 4 by 1 structure, and it still works just fine. And I could add on to the end of this, adding more blocks. I just have to continue to add them evenly. If I really wanted to, I could just make it one wide and just have the monitor on the wall and then have it go back in a straight line, but I like this, so I put a crafting unit underneath each one. I think it gives it a pretty interesting look. I finished my first layout for the room. Now keep in mind, this takes a little bit of imagination, because right now it's just made out of stone brick, just like this room. And I'm just using stone brick for the moment because it gives me an idea of the shape, and I'll change it to whatever decorating blocks I want to do in a little bit. But if we come through here, I have this room, and then I have some stairs that go up on either side. And so each of these smooth stone blocks represents where I'll put one of the machines. And so we'll have 8 there, 8 on this lower level, 8 here, and 8 here. And so this section will hold 32 machines, which is what one dense cable can handle. And then if I want to expand further, I just knock down this wall, and then I make another room that holds another 32 machines. And then right now I have just a space to get down here, and I'm clearing out the space underneath so I can work on doing the wiring underneath to where all the machines are going to be. And like I said, I'm going to go through, and once I get the shape all laid out, I will figure out what blocks I want to use that will go well with the machines and give this a nice look instead of being all just solid gray. Our first 3 items in our processing facility are in, and it was a bit of a struggle. And I wanted to do a facade behind here, but I can't because there's the cable back there is not a applied Energistics cable. Let me just show you the spaghetti I had to do to make this work. So the interface needs to have an item pipe going into it, and it needs to have a applied Energistics cable connected to it to provide it with power and to connect it to the network. That one is redundant now. So I put that cable on the top because it's also providing power to the other two, but I want the applied Energistics cable to go across the bottom. Even if I put that across the back, still wouldn't solve my problem. The problem is that the charger will only accept items being pulled out using the item pipes, not the item pipe from Modern Industrialization that I'm using. The crystal growth chamber uses it just fine, and and all the other machines will too. I've tested them, and so I can use those in line with the fluid pipe to provide steam and item extraction for the rest of my machines. But for this machine, just the charger, I have to use an item pipe. So I needed an extra face to connect it to, and I needed that to connect to this interface. So I put the interface here on the end. This was here. This is where the crystal growth chamber is. And so they all work. And so now I can run this steam pipe and item pipe down to all the other sides of the facility, and all of the items will go into this interface. And I only need one interface for the whole setup, which means I'll be able to have a lot more machines with less channels. So just to demonstrate this working, I'm going to order up some charged Certus crystals. Let's do 20 of them. So you can see up here on the crafting monitor, it shows that it's crafting. And then when we go in here, it has crafted the seeds up and it's thrown them into the crystal growth chamber, which I have accelerated. And so it is making me Certus quartz. And the Certus quartz, once it has grown, will start getting put into the charger. As soon as the charger charges it, it gets pulled out by the item pipe, thrown into the interface, and we're all done. Everything works great. So that's those done. Next thing I need to do to put in is to do the next set of machines. So we have our cutting machines to put in. We have our macerator, our furnace, and our wire mill, and then we have our compressors. I think before I put the compressors in, I'm going to upgrade them to steel compressors as well. I've started to lay out some more of my machines. I don't think I'm going to have them exactly in this configuration where I have the compressors and the cutting machines all together, but I was running low on pipes, so I put them up here to have them connected, and then I will move them once I get it all figured out where I want them to be. I just needed to reconnect these machines so that I could craft more pipes, which I'm doing now. I did figure out that this spaghetti madness I had up here was unnecessary. I wasn't quite understanding how the item pipes work. Let's see if I can get over here to show you. These item pipes, when you click on them without a wrench in your hand, it has a filter built into it. And I didn't realize that by default they're listed as whitelist mode enabled, which means that when I had it connected to this charger, it had a whitelist here and a whitelist here, and so it was not pulling anything in. Now they work just fine. It'll pull those charged Certus quartz crystals out, which also means that other places, I had a couple other spots where I had used other item cables because I couldn't figure it out. Now I can switch them. So I really like having the two cables in the same block like this. It's very reminiscent of Ender IO cables where you could do that. So the basic setup I'm doing is the steam and the item extraction is all in the back, and applied Energistics cables all are on the bottom. And then once I have them all configured and working, I'll put a roof back in. I still want to figure out a new block palette for this. I'm not quite sure. I'm still giving it some thought. But I'm going to finish getting all these machines hooked up and in place. I have some extra machines. I want to do some upgrades to make these steel machines as well. And then we will go forward from there. I was adding a couple more spots for ores to be processed. And I just wanted to show you that I did change this setup to use the item pipes. I had been using the item pipes from Industrial Revolution. I have to say, once I got these understood a little better, I really like them. The pipes, when you first connect them, don't connect to anything, and you have to manually connect them. And then once they're connected, they're set to input and they're whitelisted, which means they won't automatically start doing anything. And so I can go in and switch it to the correct input or output and switch to blacklist mode once I'm ready for it, so I don't have items accidentally moving into the wrong inventory. So right now, I just want to check to make sure this is all working well. I have 63, that means that there's space in there, and it pulled one out from over here, which is great. So this is working fine, so I can just continue to expand that. I probably will change out these other item pipes, but for right now, what's working is working. Main reason is I can probably condense this down because I can run the item pipes to move from one to the other into this steam pipe, and I can probably make it so that I don't have to have so much space taken up, which for now isn't such a big issue, but the this system is becoming more and more complex the more I add into it, and I only have a few of my ores set up for automatic processing in here. So if I go in here, I have Certus set up, I have coal, lignite coal, iron, gold. I just set up the copper. This is why I have these placeholders in. Every time I take something out, if something's processing it, throws it in that spot. I also have the redstone. So yeah, I have you can see I have a lot more that are not being processed, and I need to get them set up for processing as we go forward. For now, I'm going to call it an episode. I think I have about 25 minutes, 20 or close to 30 minutes almost of footage to edit down, and we've gotten a lot done. Still have a lot more that we need to do in the future, especially with decorating, as things are being just a lot of spaghetti wires everywhere. And then like I said, I want to get rid of all this stone brick that I'm using just to figure out the shape. I'll probably work on that off camera and maybe show it off a little bit during the next episode. But next episode, I definitely am going to be taking a break from Applied Energistics and the other crafting stuff. We've been doing a lot of it, so I'm going to do some different stuff and change it up for a little while and then come back to it. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.